Greetings and welcome to the RC Wallet Vacuum channel. In today's video I'm going to start the Vekta body panel painting. So I'm going to take what info I got in the last video, part 2. I was trying to find a dominant paint, and I come up with the scheme of how I'm going to do this. Vekta has those two side panels on each side, and on the lower one I'm going to spray that purple. I obviously already started with that. And then what's yellow outline is also going to be done in the fluorescent purple. And that's going to be on both sides, obviously. And then these are the upper side panels, and the stuff that's marked off in yellow is going to be done in the fluorescent purple as well. And then in both cases, I'm going to be spraying this fluorescent green on there. And that's the one I wanted to see the least darkening on, so that's why I'm putting that in last. And then on the hood, the center section is kind of a molded in scoop. That's going to be done in the fluorescent red, and everything else around it's going to be done in the fluorescent green. So let's get to spraying and see how this goes. So I switched over to a 1/2 millimeter nozzle and needle setup, which seems to be more suited to this type of mass, wide surface spraying. I'm assuming the 2/10 and 3/10 are for fine line, and I'm a ways away from being skilled enough to do fine lines freehand on this thing. So I have been cleaning. I clean the brush out with water after each color, but I have been adding in a final cleanup of some isopropyl alcohol. It hasn't seemed to cause any problems and clears out good. So see, that helps the sputtering issue. And I've been using the alcohol to wipe the bodies down. It's kind of inconvenient to wash them off in the sink. I don't have one up here. But the alcohol doesn't seem to cause any issues with it. It cleans it up pretty good, so I've been sticking with that. So unfortunately, it's still only like 60 degrees in here, and it's really too cold to be painting. I'm going to do it anyhow. I've been keeping bottles of paint in my pockets, keep them warm, and then I've had to resort to putting a heat gun out to warm the airbrush to see how that works. It definitely is good. It's not the ideal conditions to paint, but I want to get this thing done, and the way it's going to happen is to do it. So I'm going to start off with the fluorescent red. I don't know, to me that looks pink, but when it sprays out it almost looks orange, but we'll go by what they say. I don't care as long as it's bright and it shows up out in the field. So I don't put too much in here. I've already heated up the airbrush a little bit with the heat gun. Should be ready to go. I'm just going to start off with a real light coat. Well, it's definitely the 1/2 millimeter nozzle and cleaning with the alcohol seems to definitely have helped a lot with the sputtering issues I was having before. It's actually working really good today. Heating the paint probably helped a lot too. Not all I want to get on there for this first go around. It's starting to come through a little bit. Pick it up a little bit in the middle. There's sputtering coming out of there now again. I need to be clean again already. So I'm going to do the purple now. I did some more testing with the splatter. It seems like it's probably maybe a technique. If you let keep shutting the air on and off when you're spraying, it seems like that's why I was getting the splattering. So I got to play around with the technique so I don't shut the air off and just throttle the paint back and see how that works. I'm assuming it's being a complete beginner of this. It's any issues I'm having are due to me. So we'll put a little bit of purple in there. I've already heated the gun up. do a quick test. Yeah, spraying. So I've already sprayed some of the purple on the bottom, and that's where I was having some spatter in a previous go at it. So we'll start with the stripe first. So I'm going to try starting it in a taped off area in case I get any splatter out of it. I want to keep a nice light coat on this one. Some of this base, same thing, start down here, move it in. I didn't put much paint in there, I may have to reload already. Some of those screw bosses are a little tricky. Yeah, see right there. I start the air up and it splatters on me, so that's definitely what's going on. I remember to plan for that. It's going to be backed up with green later on, and then after it's all done, it's going to be backed up with a complete coat of white on the whole thing. So, like I said, it's just a toy to slam into things, so stuff gets damaged. If the paint's a little bad or a little off, not that bad of a problem. I'm low on paint. So I'm gonna let that one set aside, and I'll move off to the other panels. Once again, start up here with some masking. See, that's definitely going to be something I got to really remember. And of course, I got a piece of masking tape down in there. Oh, never mind. It's a mark on the other side. Oh no, I really like this airbrush. It's working pretty good. Just gotta work on my technique. There, I started once again over the thing, but over the painted area, but luckily I didn't get any splatter that time. I'm sure just like everything else, it's going to be practice. Trying to keep really light coats on there. I got to darken that a little bit, but for the most part, I don't want to go too much more. So these upper side panels, there's only a very small amount of paint to put on in here. Subtle. Well, subtle as fluorescent red could be. I definitely gotta learn to make sure I start this thing over a masked area. Again, this will be back with green, so a little splattering, that big of a deal. At least until I can figure out how to consistently operate this airbrush. So that should do it for first coat. That's how it's going to look coming through the other side, and then with the green on there, it actually should look pretty cool. So we'll finish putting some more coats on it. So I'm now done putting the base coat down, and we'll let them dry before I put the green down. The purple is definitely the trickiest to spray. It would plug up, the airbrush would plug up midway through spraying. I'd have to put a little alcohol and spray some alcohol through it, and then when you go to start spraying again, the first couple of seconds it would spray real well with that alcohol mixed in there, and then it would start to gum up a little bit. It was tough to get it not to be a little blotchy. I think just thinning the paint would probably help out a lot. But this is, certainly dark enough where it's got this, the tones are there. Now I just got to basically go through, and I'm going to darken it with spray it all with the green, the fluorescent green, and let that do what it's going to do. And then on these smaller side panels, that green I think should darken it up nicely. The fluorescent red, which is clearly orange, definitely sprayed on pretty well. Didn't have the blotchiness issue going on with that stuff. So that's the actual painted side, and this is the through the looking glass side. So we'll see how that green comes in on that. That'll darken it up a little bit. I want it to darken up a little bit, and then I'll probably put clear coat over it, over the back, or I may put white first. I don't know. I'm not really sure about that. I want to see how the green goes on there next. So I was running at 32 psi for most of all this. I've seen it work. I've been bouncing around between 20 and 40, and 32 seemed to work the best. And with this 0.5 millimeter tip setup, it definitely got rid of a lot of that spitting and sputtering, but I still get the splattering. But that's pretty minimal, and as long as you keep it good and clean, it seems to be keep it even more to a minimum. And then it's one of those things that if I probably avoid stopping and starting the airflow and just throttle back the paint when I go to move to different areas. That's why I stop and start the air when I see that happening. And even that's not a big deal, because I can just basically point it at the masked area and kick it off there, and it's not that big of a problem. I did, of course, some of these did have a little bit of spatter in there, but I don't really care. It shouldn't really be visible. A little bit over there on the right hand side, but once it's darkened up, you probably won't notice it. And it is, it's a toy that's going to be getting run into stuff. So, but at least I won't lose this thing in a parking lot somewhere. And I'll be able to see it even in the tallest grass. Like this one here, this probably should be a little bit darker down there, but I'm just gonna spray it over with green and see what happens. It's all an experiment. So I'm gonna let these things dry, pull the masking off, and then start spraying green on and see what I get. So these are the parts with the masking tape off. That's the lower side panel, and this is the upper side panel. Masking was pretty close. And then there's the hood. So next time I'm gonna start putting the green on. So I've got the green on now. Yeah, at least a couple coats on there. I'm definitely going to. That's from what you'd see from the outside. So I'm definitely going to go through and put some more coats on this and darken up a little bit. And then also, it's going to certainly get a backing. Probably white, maybe black, but probably white. This is the other side piece, the lower side piece. It does definitely darken up that purple, but putting the green over top of it. I could run a little less subtle on the striping, but once again, it's going to get a little bit darker. And this is the hood. This is I definitely got to go through and put another couple coats on this, a little blotchy. But this is from the top. It's going to look like one of those safety cones driving through the track. At least I'll be able to see it. So all in all, the airbrush setup is working pretty good. I had to deal with a few quirks with it and get it ironed out, getting a little better, a little more skilled at it, which is going to take quite a bit. And I ran this in quite a bit the last couple of days, and I haven't drained any water on it. There's a little bit of fogging on that, but that's about it. That's what I like about using a small compressor. You're not pulling so much air in there. So it will be an interesting color scheme. It kind of goes with the shocks, but a little different shade. So hoping it ain't too much green. But with the aluminum up on the top, get some stickers on there. And the ProLine paints, I definitely give a good high marks to the ProLine paints. It seems like these fluorescents are maybe not quite opaque enough that, you know, for this application to go without having a backing. But no big deal. I'll just probably put it back. I got the base color white of ProLine. The purple was probably the worst of the bunch to spray, and even that just need to be thinned a little bit. The green seems to go on pretty well. The green don't like going on thick. You definitely got to put that on light coats, otherwise it gets a little wiggy when it goes down and starts to dry. But the orange went good. A lot of times I've found with those fluorescent colors, they're very vulnerable to flaking off, but this stuff seemed pretty good. So, all in all, I'd say it's been a pretty good success for our first run at this. We'll have to see what's next in the projects. So now the painting's done on it. Well, at least other than putting the backing coat on there and some more overcoats, but hard part's done. So the next part of this project is going to be to build a receiver box. It's going to go down in that corner, and it's going to supplement the battery, the very small battery box on this thing. So stay tuned.